welcome back to my channel. My name is Kamra and I am here to help you make wigs, amongst other things. Hello my moons and suns, Kamra here with Elonblu Talks, where I help you to create stunning wigs through easy to follow steps, explore simple protective hairstyle options, and share tips on growing healthy, beautiful hair naturally. If you haven't already, go ahead and press that subscribe button to catch more videos just like this. All links in this video is going to be in the description box below. So let's jump right into it. So today I'm going to be making a blended wig of tracks and crochet, where it's crochet in the front so you get that crochet illusion with all the baby hairs, and then it's tracks in the back so that it doesn't take you forever to make your wig. So the combination for me has really saved me quite a bit of time, and I enjoy making the track because I can also manipulate the colors a little bit by blending hairs together, as well as play with variety of textures. Looking for synthetic weft hair is a lot more difficult than expected. I guess the demand for it is just not there. So a lot of stores don't carry it, or they don't carry a ton of options for it. So making it is the next best thing. There is already a video, and I'll put it here or here. I'll put it somewhere here so that you can check that out if you're interested in making your own. But this video is going to be all about how to attach it to a cap once you've made it or you've bought it at the store, as well as blend a crochet U part kind of situation at the top so that you kind of create that realistic illusion and that crochet look without all of the hassle of actually crocheting all the pieces. And so that's what we're going to do today. Alright, so I'm going to start with the adjustable weaving cap that I have. This one has argan oil in it, organic, if that matters. But I do like this weaving cap because it's all-purpose. It does have straps on the back of it. It stretches a little bit as well. It's very airy, so you can give a lot of wiggle room to get air in there and scratch your head a little if you need to. So yeah, so I do like this one. So this is what I start off with in order to sew the wefts on. Once the cap is on the head, and just so you know, the mannequin head I'm using has a 23-inch circumference, and I am going to start by measuring out the spaces of where I am going to place the tracks. I like to space out the tracks about an inch apart, which is what I'm going to start doing now. Typically I have about 10 to 12 tracks that I end up using, which is good for covering the whole head. If I am going to place the crochet pieces on top, I only need about 12 tracks. If I'm not, then of course you'll need a little bit more than just the 12, but because I do have that crochet U part that I'm going to put on in the front, I only need about 12 tracks. So once I have the space complete, I'm going to now stretch out the line from one of the seam lines all the way over to the other, but only doing half at a time. So from the center, I'm just moving over to the seam line as best I can so that the lines are as even as possible. So once the lines are drawn out, I'm now going to place the second cap on top. And this cap is by Donna. It's called the Open Top Wig Cap Liner. And this is typically what I use to make my crochet wigs with. I'm going to use this to make the crochet U part. This part is very important. What you want to do is make sure that there is a straight line of diagonal or openings that goes straight down the seam of the wig mannequin head. The hair I'm using is in Platinum Blonde 613 and the brand is Bobbi Boss Jamaican braid, and the texture is quite kinky. It's quite kinky, it's quite coarse, it's quite long, and it's quite bright. So I like to start the crocheting right at the band and go up, and I'm going to count up 8 places. Eventually I'll drop down to 4 because I think with all the bushiness of this hair, it's going to be best to twist at every 4. But I do start right at that band and then move my way up. And because I've defined where the center front is going to be, I'm going to work around that line. So I'm going to make sure that I'm creating a straight line that goes all the way up so that there's a front part that I like to have. And I'm going through every hole. Usually I jump or skip every hole and every row to spread out the hair, especially if it's curly hair. But typically if it's long hair, I like to go through every hole because for some reason the shorter the hair is, the more it can kind of blend and hide these spaces, but the longer hairs does require a lot more coverage, especially this kind of hair because it's not super curly. It's quite kinky and coarse, but it's not super curly, or the curls aren't that defined, so you can see a lot more spacing. And on top of that, this is a platinum blonde hair, so platinum blonde you typically can see straight through it, especially if the cap is black. So just to make sure that there is enough coverage, I'm going through every hole. If you haven't already seen my video on how I crochet, please do check that out. I think it's going to be quite helpful if you're new to it. I do have quite a few videos on that topic, so check that out. Plus there's a whole ton of videos on online and on YouTube that caters towards beginner crocheting. Okay, and just make sure that when you're crocheting, especially as you go down towards that band, to make sure to get all the way down to that band. Because the hair is platinum blonde and that band is black, it's going to be really important for you to cover it up as much as you can. Even if it's not completely covered, that's fine. Typically it ends up looking like new grow anyways, so as long as you're okay with that look, it's okay that some of that black band is showing, but you do want to cover it up as much as you can. So now I'm going to space it out, and like I said, because the hair is so bushy and long, typically I would do grab 8 pieces of hair going across and 8 pieces of hair going down. But because we did go through every hole instead of skipping any, and because the hair is so bushy, I am going to only go through and grab 4 hairs in each row and 4 hairs going down, adding up to 16 pieces of hairs. But like I said, because it's so bushy, only counting to 4 or grabbing 4 across and 4 up is best. And when you're twisting, just try to keep the groups separate so that when you untwist, it's not all bunched up, making the untwisting process just much more difficult. So just making sure that once you separate the hair and you start to twist, that you keep it pretty separated. As separated as you possibly can. I know they start to mix up and do its own little thing, but just trying to keep it separate is best, I think. So for this wig, I only went up 4 rows, and then on the sides I only went up 2 rows because I kind of want it to be a dome kind of shape. So I don't want it to be very blocky or square. So I tried to create like a curve around the edges. So right in the center, especially the first 2, I think it's maybe even the first 3, the first 4. And now that we're finished with this portion of it, I'm going to put it in the bun just to keep it out of the way and remove it off of the mannequin head. What we're going to do now is just connect the 2. So we're going to place the first cap back on the mannequin head and then place the second cap on top of it. And for this process, I am going to be using a needle and thread and attach the first one to the second one. I will be using the machine to secure it even more, but this is a good way to secure it before you get it onto the machine. Now, as you can see, there is still some space on the crochet portion that I left, but now that we have the shape of the dome, I will fill in those gaps, but for now it is good to go. So we're just going to cut the first cap off, which is the crochet cap, which has now been sewn onto the second dome. Now, it's important not to cut too close to the stitch because it may start to unravel. So just cut a little bit off, leaving quite a bit of the first cap on. And you can remove it once the cap has been, you can remove it once the two caps have been joined together with a machine stitch. But for now, you still want to leave a little bit of fabric so that it doesn't unravel. So the sewing machine I'm using is the Brother Project Runway limited edition sewing machine. I've had this for years and it is still moving along strongly for me, which I really do appreciate. I originally went to school for fashion design and marketing, so who would have thought that instead of sewing clothes, I'd be sewing wigs with this, but here we are. The first thing I want to do before we start to attach hair is attach my tag. So now that the tag is attached, I'm going to switch out the thread and use a white thread which matches the color of my wig just a little bit more. Now, one trick I used, which was kind of helpful, was to leave the black thread on the inside there for the back stitch, to leave it there so that at least on the inside of the wig it reflects more black thread than white, so that it's not so defined. But the top thread is white so that it matches the wig just a little bit more. Now I am using the lines that I created on the cap as a guideline. It doesn't have to match up perfectly. They're just guidelines. So even if the track or the width is not exactly on that line that you created, it's okay. Just keep it moving. The only thing I would say that's really important is that you don't stretch the cap as you're sewing. You just want to let it fall where it may, but don't stretch it out. It is going to get a little bit tight as far as trying to get all of that hair on underneath the stitch, but just try your best not to stretch it out. I learned this technique off of another channel on YouTube. I will put the link to that in the description box below. They definitely helped me to get the hang of this, so I definitely want to give them credit for that. And now we are finished. All the tracks are attached, and now it's just time to cut that extra piece of second cap off so that it reveals the crochet at the top. So we're just going to cut that off, and just be careful not to cut the crochet cap off. Just cut the stitched weft cap off. From here, it is time to attach the baby hairs, and I attach the baby hair just as I would with my regular crochet hair. So I'm just going to cut the hair pieces that I have in half, and then I'm going to fold it over my index finger and use a 1.3 millimeter crochet needle, which is a very thin, very small crochet needle, and use that to puncture the front of the cap. The most important areas to add baby hair is from the ear to ear. So from ear to ear there will be baby hair. If you want to attach baby hairs on the back end, which I would suggest, especially the nape area, then you can do that, but definitely from ear to ear. We are practically finished. I am going to now untwist the top part and blend it in with the stitch part, but for the most part the wig is finished. Now it does look a little bit spacey, especially where the divide of the two techniques are, but once you untwist it, it will definitely fill in and be full, and you won't be able to see the differences. But that is about it. Now I know you guys are gonna probably want me to try this on, so I'm not gonna disappoint y'all. Alright, and that is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and press that subscribe button to catch more videos just like this. If you enjoyed this video, press that like button down below and share with your friends if you think that this may be something that they'd enjoy as well. Until next time, peace guys.